Hello everyone and welcome to something new on my channel, which is going to be a game review. In line with the fact that I'm doing the whole retro games game archive thing, I thought it'd be good to actually then follow up with a review. So if you don't want to watch me play through the entire game yourself, you can then give it a go. So, that in mind, today's and my first review is Flatout. I'm going to give an honest, no faff, spoiler free review with a final recommendation to help you decide if you should get the game for yourself. The first game in the renowned Demolition Racing series, mix of old school Demolition Derby games of the PS1 era, with a fresh coat of paint and an injection of racing DNA. Released back in 2004-2005 for the PS2, PC, Xbox and Linux, it seemed backwards compatible on 360 and older full-size PS3s. Developed by Bugbear Entertainment, who went on to develop numerous further games in the series and then move on to the spiritual successor, Wreckfest and next car game, it's safe to say they know what they're doing when it comes to putting together a fun racing game, and it all started here. Starting with graphics then, as a racing game, you kind of already know what to expect. There'll be cars, tracks to race around and through, and Flatout is a solid looking game, even for a game old enough now to be entering puberty and asking awkward questions of its parents. Poly counts range from respectable to great for the time, textures are mostly solid, and on the cars in general add to the feel of the game, with dirt, scratches abundant on nearly everything with four wheels. However, there are occasions where lesser objects you are passing could be a little more detailed or have been more lovingly created. This is not an issue while you're hurtling past them in the middle of a race, but when you get up close, and you will, when you faceplant into them, it can be a little garish, and some textures clearly repeat in places. The game is suitably brightly coloured, and in almost all instances clear and apparent as to what everything is, as it's going mostly for an off-road arcade colour palette. Nothing off, overly dark or difficult to identify at a glance as to if you want to go around it or through it. And the addition of dust, dirt, sparks and car parts thrown up each time you hit someone or something is very enjoyable. Add to this some very serviceable sunlight shadows, reflections, which further grounds your car in all the mud and carnage going on, brings the game bordering into pretty at times, with sun shafts breaking through trees, begging to be admired, if you weren't, trying to avoid crashing. Regardless of this, roadside obstacles, other cars and everything you rush by in a bid for the finish line make for an engrossing atmosphere that I was almost never pulled away from by any major degree other than perhaps the modelling of drivers. Bugbear knew how to make convincing cars and environments, but perhaps fittingly the drivers look like poorly painted crash test dummies. Next up is the game engine and stability, and in this case physics, which are a huge part of Flatout. For a game well over a decade old, you'd expect it to run smoothly on a toaster, and it does indeed. Played on PC in this instance, most laptops and even most entry level of dedicated cards will have no problem with the game at 1080p on max settings and a nice 60 FPS, and while I could not test above this, I doubt any mid-range gaming PC will struggle. Consoles will be a little different, and looking at the Xbox and PS2 versions, there is a noticeable drop in detail and resolution to keep the frame rates, while having to remove the real-time lighting and shadows. But as I could not test them personally, I cannot comment further. Having its release on consoles in addition to PC, the game is fully controller supported and handles considerably better over keyboard, and an Xbox controller was my choice. Compatibility is not an issue. Having played on a Windows 10 64-bit system with the Steam release, it was effortless to install and ran flawlessly for my entire playthrough of the game. However, there are a few minor overlay and menu side effects to playing on widescreen resolutions, with overlaid artwork not reaching the edges of the screen and text regularly leaving the bounds of their associated pop-up boxes in response to the expanded horizontal space. All are minor though, and as soon as you discover the best part of the engine, everything else fails to matter like a failed New Year's resolution: the physics. Clearly a lot of work went into the physics engine and its integration into the gameplay. While perhaps not as refined as more modern games, it is an integral part of the game experience, whether you're smashing an opponent into a roadside obstacle, ploughing through picket fences and barn doors to create a shortcut, or rolling your car into its third barrel roll going through a tyre barricade by mistake, coming to pieces and every individual tyre being its own individually simulated item. This is truly where the engine shines, even if on occasion it can be a little unforgiving and you would rather not hit certain objects that have been scattered across the road by the competition. Next is sound and music. Being a racing game, there's little to no dialogue. All tracks are backed by a solid middle ground of female and male vocal rock tracks from what I thought were unsigned bands until I saw copyright claims against the playthrough that preceded this review. Each track is strong enough you will find yourself nodding along and tapping your feet when calm enough, and realising you're doing it after a particularly harrowing crash or tough section of the course pulls your entire concentration. None stand out, and my only criticisms in each track is no matter how long it is, it's accompanied by a single song on repeat with a painfully long silence between the start and finish of each track that has you wondering, so hey, did we crash so hard I broke the car radio? The main focus of the audio clearly went on the vehicle and environmental design. While not as fully fleshed out as some more modern games, I can't recall animal or bird sounds or any fancy additions for immersive sake, what does work is everything related to the cars and destruction. Every scrape, bash and inevitable triple barrel roll of a car is accompanied by a cluster of scraping and banging, bending metal sounds you can't help but screw your eyes up at like the best nails on a metal chalkboard you've ever heard. Likewise, engine and tyre noises all feel visceral enough to recognise whether you need to change gear, driving on dirt, and when you're wheel spinning through mud or actually getting traction. Not going to compare to more modern games or Gran Turismo or Forza anytime soon, but you feel the audio enough to know when someone is chasing you down and to shed a tear for your mechanic each time you tilt your car enough to turn it into a Meccano construction set. Shockingly, there's no story, but what you will be doing is racing your way through 3 championships of increasing difficulty with different class cars, all in the pursuit of unlocking the next tracks and earning enough money to upgrade your current ride to stay competitive with your opponents. Tracks are a mixture of urban and off-road with a heavy slant to off-road. There's enough variation in the locations, from redwood forests to quarries littered with construction vehicles to dodge, and to out-of-the-way towns which would probably rather 8 or so muscle cars had not just ruined their front lawn as a shortcut. Subsequent tracks are variations with longer routes or mirror segments of the existing locations, which can leave a small feeling of deja vu. Where the game does miss a trick though, is all locations are in daylight with neutral weather. Nighttime races, storms or falling snow would have been a real nice addition, and is evidently missing against other games from the same era. Once the championships are complete, there are a surprisingly large selection of bonus mini-games and events to choose from, including bowling and darts played by launching the driver through the windshield. Yeah, they clearly had to make as much use of the physics engine as possible. And then to, more expectedly, Destruction Derby death bowls where points for kills are the only goal. All in all, there's enough to do, but it does at times feel just ever so slightly cut short, as it's not the most challenging game. Championship progression is unlocked at a steady pace without requiring you to complete every race or event to unlock the next class, which some people will appreciate, as each stage can be completed any number of times instead of being locked into a set championship until you win, fail or quit out. This approach is likely due to the fact that pimping out your car into a veritable beast does cost, and just completing each stage once will not yield enough to fully upgrade your car. Vehicle upgrades are integral to keeping pace with the competition, however they do not carry over, and as you purchase a new car you start again with base parts. And to the big question which matters most, is it fun? Hell yeah, it is. For the few odd physics glitches and decision to lock you to only having one car at a time, can you tell it really bugs me yet? The game is without a doubt one of the best racing destruction rally games ever made. It's nearly perfectly balanced and hilarious when it all goes wrong, and for something of its age it still easily holds up. The addition of controller support makes it a joy to play. My only regret is I wish I had a driving wheel to give that a go as well. From the racing, crashing, smashing and bonus game modes, it'll take you about 10 to 12 hours to complete, and if you have a bunch of friends you could endlessly play the online together, but be warned, the multiplayer is otherwise dead due to the age of the game, so keep that in mind, you will be going alone. At its height, the modding community was superb, and you can add hundreds of cars, tracks and events if you install the biggest mod for Flatout, which was the Flatout community mod. I'll add a link in the description below for that, as it does tend to move around now this site is long gone. Finally, my recommendation on if you should buy, avoid, wait for a sale, or check it out in some subscription service like Xbox Live. And this is an outright buy. For the fairly low cost this game goes for now and how well it runs, looks and plays, you really can't go wrong. And if you feel like you need more when you're done, the community mod is there to extend the game until you're on life support. All in all, a true classic. Thank you everyone for watching this review, and if you like that or it helped inform you, then leave a like, subscribe for more and hit the bell, and I'll see you in the next one.